Hello students, you are here because you're watching a video on how to do some revision for your end of year POA exam. We are doing the first 4 chapters, Introduction to Accounting. We are now at chapter 1 to 4, question number 1. Okay, so in this question, Rihanna provided the following information for her business on 1st of January. Then they give you a list of accounting accounts. All right, and then they ask you to calculate Rihanna's capital on 1st of January 2020. Now, before we do that, right, we want to remember capital is actually part of OE. All right, it is part of owner's equity. And how do I have owner's equity into an accounting equation? You need to remember my favorite moisturizer. Asset is equals to liabilities plus owner's equity. Okay, asset equals to liabilities plus owner equity. So what happens here is that we have to classify all of these accounts into whether it's an asset, a liability, or an owner's equity. So can you pause your screen now and classify, is cash in hand an asset or a liability or an owner's equity? All right, so in this case, cash in hand is an asset. All right, so do the rest. Pause and do the rest. Hello, have you completed classifying everything? So I'm going to show you one at a time. Trade receivable is an asset. Trade payable is a liability. You owe people money. Inventory are goods that you have for sale. So it is a asset. Motor vehicle is an asset. Fixtures and fittings, your tables and your chairs, your furniture, or your lights, all these are your fixtures and fittings, is an asset. Mortgage loan, this word here, loan. All right, this word here, loan, tells you that it's like a bank loan. All right, so a bank loan is a liability. Cash at bank is a asset. Now, what about capital? Capital, there's a bracket, there is a question mark here because they want you to calculate, but capital is part of owner's equity. All right, capital is part of owner's equity. So after you do the classification, you can go on and calculate what is the total asset, what is the total liability. So number 1, my total asset, all right, total asset. Then I will list down all the asset value, asset. I will list down all of these asset values that I'm highlighting now in green. All right, I will list down all the asset values that I'm highlighting in green. All right, so these are my total assets. Okay, I will classify them and I will list them down, total assets. And I will come up with an answer of 75670 as my total assets. Next, I need to find out what is my liabilities. So I am going to add up all my liabilities. All right, so all these liabilities which are in yellow. All right, I'm going to highlight all my liabilities. There are only 2 of them in yellow. And so my total liabilities in yellow, I will add them up and I will get 50250. Okay, now I know that asset equals to liability plus owner's equity, right? So I want to find my owner's equity. So in order to find my owner's equity, I want to find this owner's equity, right? I have to move my asset to the other side. I have to minus away liability from my equation, and then from the other side, asset also must minus liability. All right, so it needs to change to this. Asset minus liability equals to owner's equity. And in this case, owner's equity is the only one item, the only item here, capital. All right, so I know that capital equals to asset minus away liability, and that is what I will do. Capital equals to asset minus away my liability. And I will get my capital amount. What is the mark allocation? The mark allocation in this case, if you have calculated your liability correctly or your asset correctly, I give you 1 mark. If you have calculated the final item, 1 mark. Okay, so 1 mark to get the final item correct, final amount correct. 1 mark if you calculated asset or liability correct. But in this case, you really have to remember, because no dollar sign, no mark. I'm very strict with that. If you never have a dollar sign, you don't get a mark. Also, if I cannot read your numbers correctly, you don't get the mark. A lot of you, when you write, right, sometimes I don't know whether the 7 is a 1 or 1 is a 7. Sometimes I don't know whether a 6 is a 0 or 0 is a 6. So if I cannot read it properly, I also don't give you the mark. Don't waste your time. Write your answers clearly so that I can read it. All right, so this is video number 1. All the best, everyone.